All right.
What's
So,
up, Bill?
hey, man. So for TikTok purposes, how old are you?
30.
Okay. Awesome. Great. So, what do you want to talk about?
What is anything on your topics?
Yeah.
Start with the first one. What brings you to that conclusion?
The child marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the typical custom at the time, especially in Israel, was that women were to be married when they were actually children, right after puberty and on into their teenage years and everything like that. And they were to be married to like 20-year-old guys or later, and so or older. The child marriage thing is just something that was generally accepted at the time, which given that God could have said don't marry children, he decided not to do that, and so he implicitly supports it.
What age do you think that would have been back then?
So back then is going to be pretty similar to now as far as puberty goes, and girls can enter into puberty anywhere between like age 8 and like 12 or so. So we're talking about we're talking about children. Also, fathers could sell their daughters into a marriage. They would regularly sell their young daughters off.
So how are you getting these ages from?
Well, I mean, so this is going to be independently corroborated just by, other ancient cultures at that time, but also scholars have identified the normal practices via traditions that were handed down and recorded in like the Talmud and other sources like that, where it talks about how girls would be married to men between 20 years old and like 30 or 40 years old. That was just common practice at the time, and this is just like an uncontroversial fact in historical studies.
Well, what I've researched into this topic has led me to a different age range, but I guess that's what you come to there.
Are you denying that child brides were a thing in Israel?
Yes.
That would make them the outlier at that point. Like that would make it, where they were the only culture that was not participating in that. What evidence do you have that they were not participating in that?
From what I've come across, I believe the common age of marriage was probably around 16 or 17.
Those are still children.
Not necessarily.
It's very concerning that you think that it's okay to marry a 16-year-old child. Do you think that it's godly or that it's ordained by God or okay with God for a 25-year-old man to marry a 16-year-old child?
What's the point? Why are you asking me the question?
Well, because if you think that the 3-year difference of the girl being 16 makes it okay and not child marriage, then it kind of seems to me like maybe you would think that like now. And I'm just trying to make sure that you don't think that now.
Well, you got to consider that back then, I mean, people were considered adults at a certain age because
do you think that we understand the human development now better now than they did back then?
I'm not talking about like biology or I'm talking about like culturally. They were looked at once they had their
I'm sorry, Jay. This seems like a pivot. You're pivoting because what I'm asking you is that regardless of the culture, God is supposed to be this timeless being that is handing down these commandments and establishing the moral order of the perfect society that is supposed to exist. And so considering that, he allowed 25-year-old men to marry 16-year-old girls. Considering all of that, do you think that is okay now?
Whatever, I guess. I don't know.
I'm sorry. How is that an answer to my question?
Sure. So
you think it's okay for a 25-year-old man to marry a 16-year-old child? Like that's an ideal situation in your eyes, as well as in God's eyes. Okay. All right. Interesting.